Thank you very much, Misako, and a big honor to be here in this panel again. I apologize for speaking twice. I promise to be brief. It also a big honor to be here with Misako and with Mr. Abdulaziz and from the Archives of Malaysia and my friend Lee Minghua from the National Archives of China and chairman of the MOWCAP. Let me just say very quickly that the effort that UNESCO has put into all the heritage programs, but in particular to Memory of the World, is precisely to be able to facilitate this cooperation. We believe that, as I said before, all heritage is part of the identity of peoples, which has a double dimension because in a way it is the heritage of the people of a nation and their history, their tradition, and their values, but at the same time, as a historical element, a cultural element, it also belongs to the world. So in that sense, the whole world should contribute to preservation of this heritage in its physical form and in its digital form. And because this, in a way, is of high technological demand and challenges, it does provoke the need for the international cooperation. Most issues we could say all nations can do by themselves, or all peoples can do by themselves. But this is one issue where it's very important, very relevant to be able to share experiences from all parts of the world. Of course, our ideal and what we pretend is that all nations and all communities and local communities develop the skills to do it themselves. So this initial international cooperation that UNESCO pretends is just precisely the fact that some people can share with others, some peoples of some nations can share with others what they have already in practice on the move have learned. This recommendation and the preservation of material deals, as we said before, with two types of preservation. The preservation of the physical objects as they are in their original form, whether it be paper, papyrus, bamboo, or stone carvings like the cuneiform writing in Sumeria, or whether it's audiovisual materials and reels, old reel films or musical recordings. All these forms can be preserved, or we should try to preserve them as long as possible. They maybe probably all have a limit of time, but as long as possible in the original form. But also we want to preserve them in a digital form. And in this digital form, we want to be able to access them and the content and make it easy to engage by the entire world. One of the panels that we will be having this afternoon will be precisely on virtual museums, on people that can actually access historical documents or archives or even regions on the basis of virtual imaging on the web. And this is very important because then anyone from any part of the world will be able to access this content and even enjoy the benefits of this content in 3 dimensions. This is the main purpose of the international cooperation that UNESCO is trying to enhance. And of course, you have already seen this today. Our initial idea is, yes, we should have Memory of the World national committees, we should have Memory of the World regional committees, and we have the International Memory of the World or the Worldwide Advisory Committee, which is the advisory body to UNESCO on all the world registry of the Memory of the World program. These efforts are precisely the example of cooperation. All these experts are functioning in a voluntary basis as experts, giving their expertise and giving their knowledge for the benefit of humanity, whether locally, regionally, or in a worldwide fashion. And this is important to recognize. Secondly, there are different techniques in different parts of the world, and some parts of the world have specialized in some particular way of preservation, which can be shared with others. And this is very important. This is not necessarily a North-South collaboration or just a South-South collaboration. This is a collaboration of everyone. whoever has the experience, whoever has had the expertise, whoever has been able to share, can actually do it with everyone else. Now, this recommendation also makes us look at the element of danger. We are in the world of many dangers for documentary heritage. Part of the danger is coming from the climate change. You will see it precisely in the South Pacific region, the development of tsunamis or bigger amount of storms or hurricanes or typhoons. And the idea of the ocean rising or humidity rising in some zones is putting specific physical dangers to many archives. And this is an important issue to acknowledge. And many nations that have less economic resources and technical resources should definitely get the solidarity of nations that can share with them the technical and economic and financial resources to preserve the archives, under the idea that this heritage is heritage that is important to the whole world, as I said, not only to the nation that is in. This, we think of many small island developing states that for UNESCO are a priority in all the development policies. But secondly, many of the archives are also in danger for human reasons, which is the development of wars or armed conflict or serious violent conflict in parts of the world. And this is very tragic. Or fanatism in some parts of the world, extremism, that are actually trying to destroy some of the heritage in different parts of the world. And there is now a movement established by UNESCO called Unite for Heritage, which is the idea that preserving heritage is also trying to preserve the peace. It is also a peace-making initiative because it is, in a way, preserving the right to have a heritage, the right to have a culture, and the right to freedom of expression, because it is the right to express that culture visibly, physically, in any way, or documentary. So this expression, to protect it, will also be important in zones of conflict. There have been many experiences, in the case of Timbuktu, for instance, in Africa, how archives were preserved in the midst of armed conflict, so they would not be harmed. This is an important element of sharing this international cooperation. There are some countries that are thinking of establishing safe havens for archives. This is an interesting proposition. It has big debates, because how much in danger are they of not coming back or of staying? But the idea is that the world is beginning to recognize that the armed conflicts and the zones of international physical and violent confrontation actually put a threat to human life, to human beings, to communities, but as well as to their culture and their heritage. So we have to look to a solution to both, a humanitarian solution to find peace through negotiation for these conflicts, to give humanitarian assistance to refugees, as well as to give assistance to preservation of documentary heritage. And all this has to be seen together. Maybe a final word. We have been discussing this yesterday with Misako. One of the issues on the digital preservation, which I think is important, is to understand that even the digital world is expiring in time. Interesting enough, because many people think once you digitalize a document, it's preserved forever. This is not true, because the digital material also responds to the software and the algorithms of its timing, of its time in history. So the technology is developing so fast that in the past we could say every 5 years you would develop new technology. Now every 2 years you're developing new technologies. So eventually even the digitalized material has a problem of reading those that were digitalized with past technologies. Who reads today a floppy disk or even the original CDs? So it is important that as we digitalize, we also update the possibilities of maintaining the capacity to read old digitalized material, because even the digitalization will become outdated in the future. And this is the irony of history applied to technology, that everything in history always moves. The principle we must always understand is that life is a journey, a constant journey. Nothing is static. So even technology and even digital technology moves. And in that sense, we must be able to keep up with ourselves, with humanity. And this is part of the international cooperation as well. There's different countries seeking for different alternatives. This is part of the debate we're having in UNESCO. This is a technological issue, but will feed into the heritage support as well as into the general functioning of governments that have normally are moving into leaving paper and written materials out and doing everything in a digital form. So eventually all this technology will have to be shared worldwide. And who knows what the next technology will be after the digitalization that we know today. So to keep in mind that we're updating these possibilities is important. Let me finish by saying then that the element here is linking heritage and culture, heritage preservation and protection in accordance to the recommendation of 2015 is in a way a call to solidarity as well. Because yes, it is a call to do the preservation, but it's a call to do the preservation by everyone. Those that have the technology, but also those that can share the technological knowledge and the technology with others. And this is important. I think this is a great example for the world, which proves again that heritage belongs to all, and the heritage, therefore, should be preserved by all.